Ah. Stay. Hi, Shell.
Hello to all the other wonderful weirdos watching.
98. Right, we have Dancing Girls. Is there an echo? I feel like there is. Try that. Okay, so slight hint as to the chaos happening behind me is I have been defeated by a screw. Okay, so hair jewellery. Hair jewellery is a curious one because I would say that well, the name of the story isn't exactly it only comes up once, and it's not even relevant. I think it's kind of quite bizarre on that one. Normally it's like a little relevant, but with hair jewellery it is like she's in the museum for a little bit and she notices hair jewellery and it doesn't I don't see the relevance to it, so I don't understand how that became the title of the story, which is weird. Margaret Atwood is once again writing a story about vibes. It definitely feels all about the vibes because her writing style is very, I'd say, ponderous. Like, there's a lot of pondering about, I don't know, life situational things, and so I think this one starts off that way. I always feel lost. That's the issue. Is I always feel lost. There's no underlying thing until I don't feel lost when I get to the end of it. That's my main issue. Is I struggle that way. With this one, however, I was reading it in my reading vlog that I did a while ago, and then I had to drop it to read something else for the next week's short story that I needed to do because I was like trying to batch read short stories. And then when I came back to this one again, I was a page from the end. So yeah, I was kicking myself. So I reread what I had read, and yeah, there's the lines that I pointed out in my vlog where there was this amazing paragraph of her contemplating youth, etc., and the trappings of youth and how people just, yeah, where she wants to stay at her current age. She doesn't want to go back. And then we get her, we basically get this woman who starts off talking about her clothing being what links her to her memories. Like, if she thinks of something, she will know what she was wearing that day because it's kind of like one of those sensory things that jogs your memory. Where, like, I mean, me and my dad have it. I mean, if we want to remember something, we will also tell you what the weather was that day. This woman will tell you what she was wearing that day. It's quite interesting, but she also has this little running commentary, this ponderous thinking on clothing and how she goes to a basement to get her clothes, but she always gets them baggy so that she could take them in. But she was hoping to hide because she has an oversized coat, and she was hoping to be invisible because of it. But it might have made the exact opposite impression. And it was interesting reading through her ponderings on that. But yeah, she kind of had the intention to pull up, like sew up the cuffs of the sleeve because they were a bit too long on her. But yeah, she brings up this coat quite a bit while as she was as you would when you're remembering things. So yes, I was also wearing that coat. Um, where she goes through. She also has this. She's kind of looking back as well. This is very non-linear of a story. She's pondering on what has happened, what she's done with her life in concern to a man, and we don't get the reason until at the very end, which I dubbed out on the first time I read it, but I managed to get the full context on this read, and so we get this interesting little look into her thought processes as she's looking back, and how she had this very intense relationship with this guy, and she was in like intense love with him, and how that she says that she was going to sleep with him, but in those days it was discussed, that something you would discuss and then proceed. But in those days, college girls were meant to be nuns, and I kind of keep forgetting when this was written, and then even further back from that, it'd be like, yeah, that would be even, that would probably be accurate, considering the timings. And yeah, completely different life to what I'm used to, considering what life is like now, anyways, when it comes to colleges and unis. Completely different. She was discovering herself, though. She was discovering herself through her clothing. She was discovering herself through her relationship with this man who kind of lost. She had one overdue paper, and he had several, and he just lost care. And they were planning on having sex in New York. That's basically this, like, most of her build up to, is that she went there with this giant coat flapping in the breeze behind her, like she was wearing a cape, and carrying a copy of his book, which she accidentally left in a telephone booth because she was phoning him with no answer, and eventually she's just in this hotel room, and she is again confronted with this receptionist who is looking over her shoulder, like the receptionist did to her in the present day, because she's in the present day, she's gone to Salem to do some research, and she's gone to a museum, and the person at the desk who's escorting her to her room is expecting somebody with her. And so it kind of, this journey prompts her memory of when she was planning to go to New York so nobody would know that what they were doing, and so they could do it in privacy and not have small town talk. But he didn't phone, he didn't turn up, and when she did get through, there was a woman there, and the realization that that woman on the phone is a lover to him, and so so he's saying that to her, that he didn't turn up to New York because a friend who he didn't say was a woman, and so she's now realizing that is not a friend, that it's a lover. But apparently, upon learning that he was going to meet with our protagonist, she might have done something self-harmy, and he's trying to look after her now and making sure that she's fine. And that's kind of why there's this realization in our protagonist. And this really became kind of why, this question at the back of my head, why is she now obsessing over this one thing? At least it didn't get to that point where she would regret it even more, because she didn't go and have sex with him. It ended before it even happened. So, and then when we get to the last bit, because even though we do have a bit of time in Salem with her in the present day, her going to a museum, having to feel the need to mollify men, because even though he just asked for a drink, there's that additional, I'm sorry, I'm with somebody. It's like a simple no isn't gonna cut it. You've got to like lie a bit further and make sure you're going to be left alone in that conversation. And that's just like what's happened to her in the present day, because she's just on her own in Salem doing some research. And yeah, again, because she was in the museum, there was a hair jewellery thing, and again, I don't understand the connection as to why that became the title. It just happened there. And so we have the last few pages of this is more of a, they've just bumped into each other at a speaking event, and they're realizing they're not where each other, where they thought each other would be, is the, what I'm trying to say is like they she's pondering over the thoughts that he might, because she's basically speaking to him in this whole ponderous story. You would didn't show up. You had this lover. You thought I would be somewhere else. You thought I would go down a different path to this. Because currently, in her present day, she is happily married with a child, I think. That part wasn't sticking in my head as opposed to the rest of it, because it is quite an intriguing story at the same time. It's difficult for my brain to follow because of the nature of the flashbacks and her pondering on past events. So my brain was struggling with it. But it's interesting in the way that when you bump into somebody, it just brings back all the memories and all of the what would have as well. Apparently she also had a few maybe opinions on where he might have ended up as well, so that was intriguing, listening to her internal monologue brain go at this little thought process, because they bumped into each other many years later. Must be awkward bumping into an ex. So yeah, this kind of hair jewellery story was all about just her bumping into an ex and having to relive in her brain the memories, and all of the little ponderings that go alongside it was also pretty interesting. It was difficult for my brain to follow, but it was fine. I got the whole picture at the end. I think that's probably why I struggle with Atwood's writing, is the way in which she writes people pondering on things, and it's just that slight difficult to follow, but it's fine. I'm actually getting the hang of it a little bit better, just not as quick as I would like. But yeah, that was this week's short story. Bumping into an ex apparently is all that was about, but what else can it be about? I mean, I like how mundane some of this is. It is just like someone reminiscing over past experiences and just like ordinary life. So yeah, it was a nice like exploration into somebody else's, how memory works. And the similarity that I can also relate to with the weird details that we can connect to memory as well, which is pretty interesting to go through. But yeah, read anything interesting this week? I'd like to hear about it because I'm kind of upside down right now. So, bye, Shell.
Bye to all you other wonderful weirdos watching.
Yeah.